necessarily express the views or opinions of Equity Media, its management, staff, or affiliates of WBOK.
Now, it's the Monitor's Mic with your host, Stella Cement.
Welcome to the Monitor's Mic, where we talk oversight, policing, and you. I'm Stella Cement, your host and the Independent Police Monitor for the City of New Orleans. And unfortunately, Chriselle Williams, our Deputy Police Monitor, is out sick today. This show is your go-to source for discussing policing, law enforcement oversight, and how it all impacts you. From the Office of the Independent Police Monitor, we offer an independent perspective on city government. The Office of the Independent Police Monitor, OIPM, serves as a crucial civilian oversight body for the New Orleans Police Department, the NOPD. We ensure transparency and accountability within the police department by making sure the NOPD follows their policies, abides by the consent decree and the sustainment strategy, and is compliant with all local, state, and federal laws. Our office operates independently from the NOPD and from the federal monitors. What do we do day to day? We take complaints of officer misconduct from the public and from police officers. We review misconduct investigations conducted by the NOPD's Internal Affairs, which is called the Public Integrity Bureau. We're on call 24 hours a day, every day of the year for officer-involved shootings and critical incidents, and we'll go to the scene and monitor the force investigation from start to finish. We're advisory members of the Use of Force Review Board and disciplinary hearings. We run the Community Police Mediation Program, and we engage the community to ensure your voice, opinions, and concerns are heard. I want to remind everyone about the OIPM's 24/7 complaint hotline. This is a 24-hour service. It's operational every day of the year, and you can call or text 1-877-225-6476. This hotline is available in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. No matter how you reach the hotline, you always have the option to file completely anonymously through that platform, and we will not be able to track your information. We, your hosts, are not police officers, but we are experienced attorneys from the criminal legal field, dedicated to transparency and accountability. We encourage you to call in today with your questions, comments, and concerns. You can reach us on air. That number is 504-582-9422. While we may not be able to address individual cases, we are committed to following up with you. So with that, let's learn more about today's guest. I'm excited to introduce Mr. Alfred Marshall. Mr. Alfred Marshall is coming to us today from the organization VOTE, Voice of the Experienced. Mr. Marshall is a New Orleans native who grew up in Brick City, in the Brick City Projects, a community where neighbors looked out for one another. He was raised with the values of the Black Panther Party, and he learned early on that when something is broken, you have a responsibility to fix it. At the year of 17, when he was 17 years old, Mr. Marshall was wrongfully convicted and sentenced. But even inside prison, he carried that lesson forward. He organized with other young men to establish a library, and they won, giving incarcerated people access to books and to education. When Mr. Marshall returned home, Alfred saw the many needs of his community and began organizing for jobs, ultimately securing employment for 50 young men. Over the years, he has led and contributed to national housing campaigns, local warrant clinics, and VOTE's Ban the Box initiative. While Alfred made an impact locally in New Orleans, he's also recognized the need for broader change. In his role as a chapter organizer with VOTE, it's his mission to fight for reform at the state level and beyond. Again, if you have any questions today for the Office of the Independent Police Monitor or for Mr. Alfred Marshall, please call 504-582-9422. So with that, I am so excited to talk to Mr. Marshall. Mr. Marshall, my first question is about the organization VOTE. Now, VOTE stands for Voice of the Experienced. What does Voice of the Experienced mean?
Glad to have me on. Voices of Experience mean that we are the people that fought for to dismantle this injustice system. Majority of vote members are formerly incarcerated men. So we speak for the voiceless people who cannot speak for themselves.
So, is that limited to only individuals who have been formerly incarcerated?
No, it doesn't. It speaks to the universal thing. You know, in New Orleans, we have the highest incarceration rate in the world. So it speaks to everybody because majority of New Orleans is formerly incarcerated people. And those who are not, we have to be aware of your loved ones or somebody that's impacted by the system.
So, everyone could be impacted by this system. Is that your belief?
I believe it. I mean, if you're not directly impacted, like me, myself, I formerly went to jail, but that affects my mother, my loved ones. Anybody that's have a friend, a loved one, they feel that system, right? Because they have to call on them for different things. Phone call, it could be, money on your books. So, yeah, they feel it. Impact is felt, through our loved ones.
So, why do you believe that the voice of those who are formerly incarcerated needs to be heard?
I believe being locked out the system, because remember, we came out, we were locked up in the system. Now we locked out of the system. And we have the solution to the problem, right? If you hear from us, because we are the voice for those who don't have a voice, we are those who speak to the voiceless people. We speak for those people, right? Because people got to know that, nobody's safe in this community right now, given the fact that especially people of color, you could just be driving while black and be arrested and taken to jail by not doing anything, just driving. So we have to have that voice. People have to know how it impacts us.
So, is this voice limited to just opinions on things like jail conditions, incarceration?
No, this voice is a reality. It's not an opinion. This is a reality that we face on a day-to-day basis, right? I mean, jail condition is real. You go inside a prison, it should be a prison where you be rehabilitated at, right? But they don't give you anything inside the prison to really rehabilitate yourself. That's why you said in my bio how we had to get things in there. If I'm going to live in here, my conditions should be more livable versus just giving me a TV and that's it, right? So, no, it's just not an opinion. It's a reality. Jail condition is a reality.
Okay, so do you believe that this reality that you're representing is limited only to issues that have to do with incarceration? Or do you think that this is a reality that you can speak to that's bigger than just how we're incarcerated in Louisiana?
Yes, I mean, when you have healthy communities, you have healthy people, right? Like right now, you got parks that are not being taken care of at this point, right? We got a campaign that we're running right now around parks, not jails, because if you don't have a healthy community, chances are people gonna veer back into the wrong space and get in trouble. So yeah, it doesn't only apply just to the jail.
So this reality, this view you're able to bring about livableness, what is livable? It is deeper than just what is livable while you're incarcerated. It's about what is livable on this world in your life.
Yes, of course. People, once a pencil have a eraser on it, people got a tendency, make a mistake and you erase that and you start all over.
Right.
If there's no opportunity for me to restart my life up, but then, chances are we gonna fall backwards. So I would just say that if you got a healthy community, if you give people dignified jobs, we won't have this condition that we're in right now.
What about people that would say, like any of our listeners who are thinking, I've never been to jail, I've never been arrested, I just don't know if I care about this perspective, this reality that you're sharing. What would you say to that person?
I think for that person that nobody is safe again, especially in the city in New Orleans where we had the highest incarceration rate in the world, that, you can just be driving down the street all black and get arrested and be misidentified and go to jail. We got a lot of our members who are now incarcerated, now wrongfully convicted of something. So I would say in that perspective, those who have not been in jail, we got to be mindful that having this incarceration rate, ain't nobody safe in the city of New Orleans, right? In this city, ain't nobody be safe. Chances are you can be arrested and wrongfully convicted and sent to Angola.
So, can we ask about you, Mr. Marshall? What about you? Are you somebody that would be considered a voice of experience?
Of course, I'm a voice of experience. I experienced the criminal justice system. I seen how the system work, and I was wrongly convicted in it myself. Given the age at, like you said, at 17, and I was treated real harshly, I would say, because I really didn't commit the crime they say I did. It was a burglary charge. I did not burglary. They found no forced entry, anything, and they came in, and I was treated again badly because I didn't burglarize what they say I was burglarized. So I have to be a voice to let people know that nobody is safe out there. You can easily be wrongfully convicted and sent, and it ruins your life. It ruins you for the rest of your life.
These systems cast a very long shadow.
It is a caste system that does carry a deep shadow, and it focuses on, like I said, majority of people of color, I would say. And I don't want to keep humping on that, but that's the majority of people it focuses on. It be minor things, just a minor arrest can ruin you for the rest of your life. For wrongfully, being wrongfully convicted, I went in and I was just 17 years old. I was scared to death. I was feared, right? Didn't know what I was facing, right? Because I didn't get the opportunity, to prove my innocence, right? They didn't give me that opportunity to do so. I was thrown into the system. They say I did it. They gave me something called a public defender, that really didn't have my interest. He had 1,000 other cases and just told me to go in there and just cop out for 3 years. And I did because I wanted to wrap that up. Mother didn't have no money at the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of very real reasons why people might plead guilty, and guilt might have nothing to do with it.
It doesn't. Majority of people that's back did it, it's because of lack of money that they don't have to really defend themselves. And, you get somebody who got 1,000 other cases called public defenders, then, chances are they can't really look at your case individually. And they come in and just offer you a way out, right? You want to go home or you want to go to jail. Well, most people say, okay, it's a lighter sentence, I'll take that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very heavy question. What are you willing to do to go home? And I think for a lot of people, the answer is anything. I'm willing to do anything to go home.
Yeah, it's signed here, but there's a lot of stipulations when you do that,
and a lot of consequences that will hang around your neck for potentially the rest of your life.
Of course, conviction means for us, like you, for life. It's a life sentence that you get because there's no opportunity, no way back for you to enter back into society.
Conviction as a life sentence.
It is a life sentence for us.
Do you remember how you were treated by the police then?
Again, I was arrested and I was in the school. I had overslept in the school, and I realized where I was, and I'm walking to get out, and the silent alarm went off, and I'm on my way out. These officers come, and back then, it was basically white police back then, and they harassed me, knocked me down, beat me up, and told me, "What you doing in the school? You burglarizing." Well, there's nowhere there's forced entry at, nowhere. One of the doors was, well, how you got in your office? I should have asked him, but how did you get in here? There was no forced entry. And the way I was treated, it was real harsh. I really didn't appreciate what they did because they didn't hear me out at all. Was nothing taken, was nothing vandalized, was none of that happening.
Do you think that the police have improved since your first experience with them?
Uh, I don't see no improvement in all honesty with the police department. I
No
mean,
improvement.
you might have body cams because back then they
Mm.
didn't have body cams and all that. That might be a thing that have helped us, along the way with the body cams and whatnot. They got
Mm-hmm.
proof not,
Mm-hmm.
but do they actually have them on? Can we really get that footage? Um, so far as the police department, I don't think too much has changed.
Now, before we went on the air, you were talking to me about what it was like to grow up with the police and how the culture of policing used to be about this idea of proactiveness, this officer friendly you brought up. Can you talk to me about what that culture used to be like? What is officer friendly to you?
It was like back then, they came into the community and found talent. You remember I told you I come up with the Black Panther Party, and we was like a community, right? We was a village, living in a village, right? And that was more like we found talent, right? And police would come up and set up stages and whatnot. And out of that came the Neville Brothers and Chocolate Milk and all these other groups because there was talent. There's talent within was in that project at that time. And we had said, y'all can stay out. We got this. We had everything under control. But they did just to come in and just set up the stage for and found talent within our community.
And do you think now that the police are being proactive in finding talent and finding what is good in our community?
No, they are not. I mean, given the fact that right after we was rebuilding what they used to call the projects, where I used to live at the Callaway Project, was rebuilding that,
Mm-hmm.
and you had officers that were just hanging around the job site, just watching, and I go up to them and I ask them, being a community advocate, I go up to them and ask them, say, "Officer, what are you doing?" "Oh, we try to root out the drugs that's in the community." Well, there's talent because I see you messing with young men who only go and play. They want to play sports. They're going about their daily business, and you stopping them, harassing them. I said, why don't you go tell your chief, Sir Pass was at the time, to bring in these 5 items that we need in our country. These are the community needs. And I did, and I gave him the 5 items, and he came back. I seen him a day later, and he told me that they didn't have money to support the things that the community was asking for.
So the police department then didn't have the money to support the community, but they did have the money to police it.
They had the money to police it.
That's
And
a
you
strong
remember-
message.
That's
That's
a
a
strong
strong message.
And they had the largest budget there is. We're
Yeah.
talking about budget. If you look at the budget, the police budget, it has been the longest forever. We're gonna talk about money. They're getting all the money. The money that they get. Some like for Parks in that jail, they're definitely taking some of the money from the Parks to build this new jail that they're putting up.
So sometimes we have listeners who are police officers. Do you have a message for them? Is there something that you wish that these listeners who are police officers knew before they interacted with someone from the New Orleans community?
I would say for the listeners to really get to know the community before you just come in.
Before you come in to police it?
Yeah, before you come in, find out what are again. Let's go back to what are the community needs before you just come in, and your whole frame. Your frame is that let's go in here and go get this guy, or let's just go in here and disrupt him, right?
Mm.
It should be a community and police interaction together to find out what are the needs that the community needs before you just come in. And what are your intention is when you're coming in, officer? Why don't you come talk to the community organizer, somebody that organizes it, and they can tell you, if there's a bad seed, we can figure out the bad seed, but there are a lot of other good seeds that's in the community. So that's what I would tell an officer, come in and find out, find a community leader, find out what the needs is that's needed for that community.
The other thing that I'm hearing is find out the community's strength.
That's
Look
it.
for the talent. I love that.
Yes.
Look for the talent, look for the strength, Look for the positivity, for the gifts of the community before you come in to look for the problems. Before you come in to disrupt, find out what makes the community strong, where their strengths and their talents are. And while you're policing, which is very important, also think about how you can build a stage. How can you do something to support
Mhm.
the talent? And then also, work together, know where your strength is, work with your leaders, work with your organizers. That's great advice.
It's got to be because out of that came, like I said, you got singers and you got doctors, you got lawyers, you got
Yeah.
all that within our community, not just
Right.
criminals. So invest in it versus coming in arrested.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say to them. Just
Yeah.
find out.
There's a lot of talent, and that talent also might have conviction histories, and we'll get into that, but see them as talent.
That's right.
So you've brought up organizer, the term organizer a lot. Can you define for our listeners what is an organizer?
Yeah, organizer is one that's a good listener. First of all, you start off as a good listener, and you find out what is that individual talking about, what their needs are, and then you begin to educate them a little bit around it, and find out and let them know that you are not alone in this. I guarantee you, what you're going through, there's somebody else that's going through the same thing you're going through, and we just try to bring those people together with that one issue in mind, and get those people to speak for themselves, get involved into the movement, right? Because people talk about they want to talk all the time, but they just be want to listen to it. People want to tell you about the issues all the time. Just got to have a good ear to listen to what they're saying, and get them to move on their issues. That makes a good organizer,
So a good organizer is someone who listens,
right?
somebody who connects,
Yes,
somebody that then encourages and pushes the talkers to the front lines to then be their own speakers, to be their own leader of their movement.
that's an organizer.
That's an organizer. That's a community organizer. That's a heavy hat to wear.
I don't think so. People do it all the time and in
Yeah?
different ways, right? You just
Mhm.
got to find others to get behind you on that same issue to push it. You can become a storm. It's really a storm that you can create. When people come together, they can change things.
You can become a storm. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Let's talk about your work organizing for Vote. So first, what kind of work does Vote do? And for anybody who got confused there, Vote stands for Voice of the Experience. So that's what we were talking about at the beginning. So now we're going to talk about Vote. What kind of work does Vote do?
Vogue does a lot of work around policy work. We go to the legislature, like change policies, right? Bills and whatnot, right? Because, when they create laws and bills, we're not at the table. So what Vogue does, we kind of like write some of the bills ourselves with the people interest, with the community interest, and what the community needs are. And that's what we do. We definitely have to bring this stuff to the legislature, find somebody to champion it, and move in our favor. Because when they write them, and we have to do is follow them. So won't want to do something like that, write laws themselves that benefits the people, right?
So again, it's going back to this organizer idea. You're listening, and then you're taking what you've heard, you're writing it, you're then connecting it to the right bill sponsor, the right person to champion that cause in the Louisiana Senate or the Louisiana House. And then you're going to hopefully see that bill become a law.
Yes.
That's
That's what we do.
that's powerful work. What
Yes,
does
it is.
Vote do around elections and candidates for political office?
Oh, what we do around candidates, we bring candidates and interview candidates. We do forums, stuff like that. Um, and, really giving the people's agenda, our agenda, right? That's what we do around candidates. Make sure that they have our agenda,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because people say things, and then we hold them accountable to it.
Hold them
Well,
accountable to those
It's
promises,
got to be
right?
it got to be some kind of accountability. Right?
So what type of agenda then do y'all have? What are the issues that you would say Vote is championing?
You know, You know, when I think about champions, I think about the 19. It's been like a 132-year-old law they had on the books, where 10 people can find you guilty, and two
Yes.
people can find you not guilty, and they
Mhm.
would send you off to prison. They got a lot of people stuck right now under that law. So
Yeah,
you know,
ununanimous juries.
yes, of
Mhm.
course. You know, we was able to change that 132-year-old law right now to make it unanimous.
Mm.
Those are kind of things that we try to champion and move for. Act 636, you know, when people come home, you know, now they're able to vote after 5 years, you know, on parole. If you've been on parole over 5 years and you got 10 years more to do, you have eligibility to vote after 5 years.
That's
So,
wonderful.
yeah, it has to be, you know, giving people their dignity back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your vote is your dignity. Wow.
yeah,
Giving people their dignity back. I love
yeah.
that.
Mhm.
So, outside of election season, I'm hearing that Vote does a lot of work around policy writing and legislative issues. Is there anything else that you would like to highlight that Vote does outside of the work around elections and candidates?
Of course. I mean, right now, we're not dealing with candidates. There's nothing. There's an amendment that's on the ballot that we.
Yes, let's talk
that
about that
initiative.
amendment.
Mhm,
Let's
mhm.
talk about that amendment. You're currently organizing and educating voters on a charter amendment that I believe voters will be able to decide on in October, right?
That's right.
That's right. And so the charter amendment is to expand the Municipal Bill of Rights to make those individuals with conviction histories a protected class. Effectively, this is about addressing discrimination that individuals might experience who have conviction histories. Can you talk to me about that? Like what is this charter amendment trying to do?
So it's about giving people a fair chance. We call it fair chance hiring. I mean, what it does is, um, it gives that individual. It takes the employer, right, and hold him accountable, right? So what the amendment does is, if a parliament use discrimination against a person because of a criminal record, right, then we'll be able to take that employer and show clear discrimination and bring him in, or bring that employer into civil court.
Wow. So are you saying that individuals with convictions may be discriminated against more than those without
Oh, most
convictions?
certainly, most certainly. You know, I mean, if you got a criminal history, wherever you go, you got members that we lost a member like that. One of my uh, one of my colleagues lost his son like that. Right, his son had been out looking for work. Everywhere he go, beating the pavement. Just come home, beating the pavement, trying to find work. Everywhere he go, he's being denied. Right. So what happened was, some wound up getting killed in the midst of that looking for some work, because he had to resort back to what he knew what to do. You know,
Mm,
because when people come home, people do. I'm telling you, people do not want to go back to the system.
right.
And when you come home and there's no opportunity for you, every door you try to open up, it closes in your face. Then chances are you're gonna revert back to what you normally do to survive.
To survive. We're talking about survival.
We talking about survival,
Mm,
right? So when you go back to survival mode, chances are, you're taking a chance going back that way, and things could easily happen. You can go to jail, or you can easily get killed in the midst of that. So we want to make sure that this amendment will allow, people opportunities just to go to work. They just want to work, right? And
people just want to work.
that's an opportunity to work. Because
Mhm.
some people that went to the system, if they worked in the field, they get 4 cents an hour.
Mm.
Incentive pay. That's nothing. So I mean, even though coming home into this system, it's better than a 4 cent, right? You might get 7.25, maybe $10 an hour, but given our economy, that's like maybe 4 cents, because the economy, at $10 an hour, it's not a lot in this city when
Yeah.
everything has went up.
So, what about our listeners who are thinking, wait, didn't we already address this by passing Ban the Box? Didn't we pass a Ban the Box ordinance? And for anyone who's unfamiliar, Ban the Box is an effort to no longer bring up conviction history during hiring. And that effort passed due a lot to the work of Vote, I will add. But if we're not asking about conviction histories on job applications, why do we need this additional charter amendment? Why isn't ban the box enough?
So, yeah, Banner Box doesn't go far enough. It just don't ask you the question on application. But when you get in your interview process, employee want to know who you are. So Banner Box is one thing. Don't ask me now, but you will ask me later. So in the interview process, they're gonna ask you that.
Okay.
And you can just give your history. Well, I've been home for 3 years. I've been active in my community for 2 of those years, and all I just want a job.
Right.
Right. I just want to continue doing the work that I've been doing in my community.
Okay, so I understand. So what this is about is, say I'm doing the interview with you, Mr. Marshall, and I'm trying to interview for a job, and you say, talk to me about your job experience. And I say, well, I've been working for 3 years at this location, and prior to that, I was working for 2 years as a librarian in this prison.
Mm-hmm.
So I just outed that I have a conviction and that I served time. And you say, tell me about this. Tell me about your conviction. I tell you. And then when the interview is over, you're like, wow, that's Stella. She's an impressive candidate. But we can't have someone here who has a criminal history, and you ball up my resume and you throw it in the trash. This is going to keep that from happening.
Yes, Stella. If I'm applying for a bank teller,
Yes.
and I have committed a robbery,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you wouldn't want to hire me for that. But if I went to jail for drugs or something, and I'm trying to build this house over here, what that have to do with anything about it doesn't relate to the crime.
Right.
Right. Now, if you don't want a molester, a child molester, something working at a school, no, we won't do that. So we saying that, if it's not related to the job, if it's unjob related, like if I'm, like I said, if it's most of the person be drug addiction and we rebuilding the city, why not give them an opportunity?
Okay.
Why use that against me? So that what Banner Box does. But in the interview process, we got to hold these employees accountable, because if you billing something, there shouldn't be no problem for me to get on your job.
Right.
If I was an addict or something, I busted with some drugs, it doesn't relate to my crime.
So what you're saying is, if there isn't some legal reason why you can't consider me because of my prior conviction, and if it doesn't affect my ability to do the job, then you shouldn't just have a blanket discriminatory perspective on that person. You shouldn't just say, oh no, we just can't do criminal convictions, doesn't matter what, or any type of conviction, doesn't matter what, and just get rid of that person, because that would be in this form discrimination. Right.
That's right.
And so because you're trying to make sure that individuals with a conviction history are seen as a protected class, the same way that religion would be a protected class, or in the state of Louisiana, being a police officer is a protected class, or race is a protected, gender, age,
disability,
ability. Yes, right. All those things
fall under that, and all we have to do is add this to it.
Add it to it, so that way you can't just say blanket,
Right.
no conviction history. It will be allowed.
And
That
that's
makes
all
sense.
we're asking them to do, to add that to the charter.
Add
Those
that
two
to the
words.
charter.
Yeah, those
And
two.
that is definitely a step further than ban the box.
It is. It's way much better than Banner Box.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do want to be clear. I read an article where Councilmember Morales said that this charter amendment would only impact the city, not private industries. Can you explain to us what that means? Like, can a corporation like McDonald's or a private entity like Tulane, and I'm not saying that these corporations or entities are discriminatory in any way. I was just throwing them out as examples of private industry. Can they be controlled by this amendment?
So we know after Katrina, a lot of things came privatized in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
But no, this amendment applies to anybody, any contractor that's doing business with the city.
Okay.
After Katrina, right, city began to sub on a lot of work out. A lot of work that you see in the city is city work. But what they're doing is they're subbing it out to subcontractors. So
Okay.
we saying those contractors, right,
Mhm.
cannot. It applies to those contracts. Anybody that's doing business with the city, it applies to them. Now the private sector is something different. We'll talk about that later. Work on
Right.
that later. But right now, anybody that's doing business or contract with the city, they should. This applies to them.
And I think despite that limitation, you just highlighted a big reason why this will still have an impact on our community. And it's because so much of city work might be contracted out to these other entities. So even though it is a private entity, it might be a private company that's trimming our trees. They're doing it on behalf of the city through a city contract. And so what we're saying is that it could still have a pretty big impact on our hiring
Yes, of
and
course.
on our workforce.
Of course.
So what message do you want our voters to remember when they head to the polls on October 11th?
First of all, I want them to remember vote yes, and remember that I'll tell people that your loved ones are on the ballot. It's the first time we have our loved ones is on the ballot. Me, formerly incarcerated people, a lot of people that's on the ballot. So please go vote yes on October 11th for the amendment. Is that it's going to be at the bottom of the ballot. It's the only amendment on the ballot now.
So
you
go
get
all the way to the
down
bottom.
first. You start there first. You start bottom up, and that's what we're working on, bottom up. But yeah, vote yes. I want people to know to vote yes that, formerly incarcerated people and people in general at the bottom is on the ballot. Finally got something on the ballot for us.
So, yeah, of course. So you're going to step out for a moment, and while you do, I'm going to just talk to our listeners about some of the projects that we have going on in the Office of the Independent Police Monitor. Again, I want to remind anybody who's listening that we now have a 24-hour hotline that is available to anyone that wants to access it via text or via phone. You can also access it online. And this is a wonderful resource for anybody who's interested in it. You can file an account of positive policing. You can let us know about what the police is doing right. You can file an account of negative police work, of where you feel that this police officer didn't serve you, discriminated against you, or that your interaction with the police did not go as you felt it should have gone. And for that reason, you can call us or you can text us at 877-225-6476. Again, that's 877-225-6476. And it is available in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. And you can call us anonymously. You can text us anonymously. You don't have to give your name. You will be given an individual tracking number, and then you can call back that number with that tracking number to be able to get a status update on whatever you filed with our office. And so this is going to be a very important tool. We're looking to ensure that the community knows it's available to anyone that wants to be able to access it, because it is going to be a wonderful way to be able to reach our office 24 hours a day, any day of the year, because we know that interactions you're having with the police might not happen during business hours. And so we don't want you to feel limited in your ability to be able to receive our services. So I want to go back. Now, we've been able to talk about this charter amendment, and we've been able to talk about the work that's being done by Vote, and it's very important work. I want to talk now about the idea of public safety. So before we talk about public safety, Mr. Marshall, what does public safety mean to Vote?
Healthy communities, good paying,
Communities.
creating opportunities. Jobs, good paying jobs. And that's what it means. So it's really just having those opportunities, because in the city we have a lack of opportunities for safety. We don't have parks and playgrounds. That's another healthy. We don't have healthy. We don't have those healthy communities, right? So parks and playgrounds is one thing, and opportunities, I would say.
I love that answer. Healthy communities, opportunity.
Hmm.
So, why do you think those with lived experiences should be at the table when we're discussing this concept of public safety and the police?
I mean, they're the ones who are affected by it, right? I mean, if I'm affected by something, I definitely want to have the voice and explain to people who I am and how it's impacted me. So you have to have those voices at the table. You know, when they always create something, they don't never invite us to the table. So we want to definitely be at the table at all time when you're speaking. Can't nobody speak for you, but for you, about you, but you. So it takes the community themselves to be able to speak for themselves.
You know, I think it's also really important because people can project different perspectives or opinions on someone based on their experience. There's a lot of stereotypes out there that might exist about an individual who has a conviction or has had an interaction with the police. And it's so important that people that have that lived experience speak for themselves. So that way I'm not projecting onto you what I imagine your experience would be, because my imagined experience might not be what's reality.
Oh, that's definitely correct. I mean, can't nobody speak for the voice of people but the people themselves. You know, I mean, we get it all the time, right? And as I said earlier, that when they create things, make things, we're not there. But vote always want to be at the table. We want to have a community at the table on each event. You know, if the problem is mine, who better it is to have a solution than me? I know what my needs are.
Right. Have the
Yeah.
people who might have experienced the problem be
Yeah.
a part of the
The
solution.
of course.
Right, because
Yeah.
they've been the closest to it.
Yes.
So they
yeah.
might be the closest to the solution as well.
Who else gonna solution for you? I mean, I know my problem. I know what I need when I'm feeling bad. I know I know the sickness that I have, and the only way to treat it is through me, right? So, person that's had a problem is the one who has a solution to the problem.
Do you have a suggestion on how our police department or even our police oversight could get closer to the community, get closer to individuals who have lived experiences to be able to hear more of their voices?
Again, as I said earlier, in order for the police to get involved, they have to be there, come see what the community needs are. They have to dial into the community. You just can't come in, you get a call and say, okay, this is happening. You come in with that rage that you come in with, not coming into the people that's in the community, because they're always leaders inside the community, right? You got a leader that's inside the community. Find out who the leaders are. Talk to the leaders, and they can tell you what the solution is. I mean, the problem is, and the answer they have for the police before they just come in.
Now, I think a lot of people in New Orleans, myself included, tends to think of New Orleans as the center of the earth, but I know technically New Orleans is not. Vote does work outside of Orleans Parish, right?
Yes, we do. We based in Lafayette and also in Baton Rouge. We have two more chapters, Baton Rouge and Lafayette.
Wow. That is great. So are you trying to reach the communities in Lafayette and Baton Rouge
Of course, of course, of course. We're doing the same work we're doing here in New Orleans and Baton Rouge as well, in Lafayette, and trying to really spread it out across the state. We might be looking at Shreveport as well.
So if we have anyone who's listening to this show, because we do record it and then we put it onto Spotify and online. So if there's anyone from Shreveport listening,
Hey, Shreveport.
hey, Shreveport.
I mean, this movement got to be a worldwide movement. We just trying to build it out because it affects all of us statewide. It affects the whole state, what this governor is doing right now. So we need everybody on board, all hands on deck. Because what's happening in New Orleans is spreading like a wildfire. So we need more people to get involved. Everybody's welcome to join this movement. Remember I told you about the storm? That's how we create a storm, like when we get everybody involved.
We create a storm when we get everybody involved. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Mr. Marshall, after all these years of organizing, what keeps you motivated to stay in this fight?
I mean, the motivation is when you wake up every day, you're faced with it. the reality is that, people of color is going through something on a daily basis. If it's not me personally, when I come out the door, I know somebody that's affected or going through something. If it's around housing, jobs, or incarceration, whatever it may be, we constantly go through this on a daily basis. So that what motivates me, even though I feel tired sometimes, but my reality is that, is a reality.
Do you have any advice to young people that are looking to get into organizing, or truthfully, anybody who's looking to get into organizing, on how they could stay focused and avoid the burnout? Because I know things don't always go as you want them to go. You build things, we were talking before the show, you build things and you might be building it on sand. It might disappear or be undone by the next administration or by the next, ballot measure. How do you stay in this without getting burnt out by those setbacks?
Our youths are very important, and they're being targeted all the time. These people look at our youths and determine beds for jails. When in middle school and high school, say, yeah, he's acting up, we're gonna build a bed for him. So it's very important for us to educate our youths, do a lot of mentoring, and both do a lot of mentoring too with kids, to mentor our kids, because the juvenile detention is not a joke, right? They're building beds over there as well. So we definitely want to get our youths involved. And there's a lot of youth programs that have been happening. Like I said, there's no parks. That's why we're saying they need parks, but youth can go exert some of the energy that they have, right? But if there's no parks and playgrounds in the neighborhood, juveniles got a tendency to act up.
Right.
So, yeah.
Healthy communities, healthy choices, healthy people. It's all connected.
Hey, that's it. That's the key to it.
And I mean, it's a sad reality, but it's true. Beds are going to be built for you in one setting. So why not build a place for someone in a better setting, in a movement, to ensure that, you don't ever end up occupying that bed?
I know. I mean, and the disparity is you can just go to one side of the city to the other side of the city. If you go in Monterey, that's parks and playgrounds. You got youth that's batting the balls, playing this and playing that. But you come in my community, you have desolated parks that's being just left to dry rot while you take the money and build the juvenile detention center or OSP or the parish jail.
I love that as we're talking about all these issues that have to do with policing and public safety and the criminal legal system, we're also talking about parks and housing and education and opportunity. It's important that we remember all of these things are connected. You can't take them in a silo. You can't just look at one thing without looking at all of this other stuff. It's all together in one ecosystem. It touches on one another.
And that's why it's all important to have everybody at the table, because you're not immune from this, right? Everybody is affected by this. In order to have healthy communities and safe communities, right, you got to create opportunities for those people, in the middle and our youth, where they won't wander off like that.
That's
right?
so true.
Yeah.
So what gives you hope about the future in New Orleans?
Just getting up, and my hope is when I ride through the city, I'm able to talk to somebody and get other people involved in this and show them the reality that we can change things. And I believe that this is going to happen, right? My belief is that you can't see it, but there are more people getting involved. Matter of fact, we be holding monthly meetings, and it's crazy how people turn out. Sometimes we turn out 149 people, 150 people that comes out on a basis because they want to know. They want to get acclimated. They want to get involved in this because they got issues they want to talk about, be heard, right? And that's a place, it's a safe environment where they can come to vote and hear it out and definitely get involved.
That's wonderful. So if there's anybody listening, you should check out these monthly meetings. Check out the Vote platform on social media.
Yes.
And see all the resources that are available and all the activities that y'all are hosting. And you also have that big meeting space on Washington, right?
Yes, we meet over there every first Wednesday of the month. We just had our meeting for the month, but the doors is open at any time they want to come in. There's always volunteer work that you can do to come get involved. There's phone banking. We're doing some canvassing right now. So the door is open to come in. I mean, bring your issues, right? Whatever it is that you're faced with, come on over and let's talk about it and see how we can definitely get involved. You can get involved in what we're doing.
That's great. That's really great. If you could leave our listeners with one final message about the work VOTE is doing in Louisiana, what would it be?
It would be that we have to continue to fight for all this, continue to fight. They're constantly changing laws, and we constantly fighting back to create new laws for ourselves that benefits us. And we have to know that the only way we can do this is to be a collective group of people. And I'm offering people and inviting people, please come out and join the movement. This is the only way we can change things. And VOTE is doing the work.
Come out and join the movement. Join the storm.
Join the storm. I mean, it's a storm. I like to call it a storm because everybody talk about the Katrina storm, you know. Right. We can be that storm. We can be a force bigger than Katrina.
Wow.
You know, when people come together. Yeah, we can knock down some stuff and blow something down as well.
I love that. I love that.
I'm telling you.
That's a great message. That is a great message.
You.
Come and join the storm. So thank you so much, Mr. Marshall. This wraps up today's episode of the Monitor's Mic. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in and staying engaged with the crucial conversations we're having about police oversight and community safety. Again, thank you, Mr. Alfred Marshall from VOTE, for sharing your story, your commitment to VOTE, your commitment to the community of New Orleans and to Louisiana, and your hope for the future. I mean, you've really inspired us. We really appreciate you sharing your stories and your and all of your information with us today. Yeah. So, as always, if you've missed any part of today's show or you want to catch up on past episodes, please visit our website at www.louisianaipm.gov. You can also find and follow us on YouTube at NOLA IPM. On Instagram, we're at NOLA OIPM. And on Facebook, we're at the New Orleans Independent Police Monitor. Until next time, stay informed, stay involved, and stay committed to building a safer community. This has been the Monitor's Mic.